Hey guys, this is Jonathan Henderson with Pressure Washing Marketing Pros, and I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Patrick Clark. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, man.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, as you guys know, Patrick. He's the owner of Precision Pro Wash, Gutter Butter, Sales Boost Live. He's also a coach in the Conquer Group. So, as you know, he is a very accomplished man. And so today, what we're going to talk about, we're not going to talk about sales related stuff because who's better than you, Pat? I've seen you speak at conventions like the Huge Convention, the PWMCA. I've seen you speak at a lot of events. And also your own event, Sales Boost Live, which will be from March 30th to April 1st, right? In Duncan, South Carolina.
That's right.
Yep. So he's already going to share a lot of nuggets with us today when it comes to sales. But if you guys want to get those in-depth secrets, you guys can go to his event, which we will be talking about later in this podcast. But to segue this into this, like I said, you own Precision Pro Wash, Pat. That has nine, I want to say nine locations, correct?
That's right. Yeah, 9 locations in 8 different states.
Yep, in eight different states. And I think I heard another podcast that you did recently, and that's about 5 million in revenue between all those locations.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Then you have Gutter Butter. I know that that's, a cleaning agent for a lot of guys that can help them out as well.
Yeah, so we started Gutter Butter for my kids. So my kids own that company, all 4 of my kids, and they signed the buckets, and they're working towards getting more distributors and everything. So we're putting them on that to teach them young.
That is good. That is good. Then also, like I said, Sales Boost. So you have not only the Sales Boost Live, but you also have the Sales Boost online course as well that people can take too, correct?
Yeah, we actually have three different ones. So we have online, we have the live event that's 1 time a year, and then we have Sales Boost on site where I can come out to your location and set up all the systems and do interviews, sales on site, live, those kinds of things as well.
All right, then. Well, that is awesome. That is awesome. And you guys will know why he's a sales guru in a minute with all these questions I'm about to ask him. So let's first start off with like Pat, so tell us a little bit about your upbringing and kind of who you are.
Yeah, man. So, I grew up with my dad was never in the picture. My mom had a she was mentally ill, if you will. She had mental schizophrenia. So she would hear voices, and I was always like, I don't know, the parent in the house, if you will, right? She would hold me back from school, so my education wasn't really good. Even to this day, like I'm not a great reader, so thank God for Audible, right? So I can get some knowledge in. But you know, I was always kind of the kid that got beat up, the kid that got picked on. And my mom would always, hold me back from things, and it wasn't really her fault. It's just she thought that people were trying to kill me, right?
Mhm.
She would listen to the news and all that kind of stuff. And so, in 7th grade, I ended up going into foster care. That was just a crazy situation. Went from an emergency foster home to a permanent foster home, and it wasn't the best. It was like I had to do all the chores. I had to dig posts after school, and it was hard. It was scary. Like that was when I got my first anxiety attack. Didn't
Mhm.
even know what that was, right? And I would get punished for different things, and so the foster care was just rough. It was scary. And I would have to go meet my mom at the social services, like in a glass room, and it was just real rough. And I knew, through my friends and my family, and Kevin actually, who owns the New York branch, sent me $5 in an envelope one time. He said, "Man, keep going. You're like, you got this. We love you." And it was $5. And I'll never forget that because it saved my life, because I was at a couple of different breaking points throughout that. Is like, when I was in foster care, I was like, what am I doing? I'm getting beat up going to each different school. I had to fight somebody so like I could like gain my own like identity in these schools. And I jumped from school to school. I think I went to like 5 or 6 different schools throughout that process.
Mhm.
Um, and I guess it was good in a way that I met different people, and it was changing where I was at, right? Like each time. And so I had to adapt, right, to those different school districts and stuff. So that might have taught me some things throughout that, I think. But I went into when I was in foster care, I moved in with my uncle Rick, and he was always doing construction, had his own kind of like, it wasn't his own business, but he worked for a good friend, and he was getting $1,000 a week. And we were living in an apartment upstairs of John, and John went to the American Legion. And so every day after school, I would go to the American Legion, and they would all drink, and I would play pool. I got really good at playing pool. playing with some old pros. Um, and I would meet my cousin there, and it was all right. We would have fun playing pool,
Mhm.
but there was things like I had to drive home one night. My uncle was drinking too much, and I had to drive home at like the age of like 15. And we almost crashed one time on a bridge, which was pretty crazy. And so that environment was real rough. And then I guess it was 10th grade. I went into school. I was at this point we had moved from John's house because John passed away and his daughter didn't like me or my uncle. So we actually got evicted. So I had to go move back in with my mom, like an hour and a half away from where I was going to school in Somers. I was living in Dover Plains, New York. And so I
Mhm.
had to drive at the age of 16, which you're not allowed to drive on highways. You're not allowed to drive past dark. Well, I had to because I had to go to school. And so I was driving out there. I was working at Christie's and after school to pay for my car. And, I knew work. I knew I had to work. Growing up in the park, we didn't have anything. I had to mow lawns to get money. And so I was working at Gristedes, and I remember they wanted me to be manager at Gristedes, which was super cool. But I was driving an hour and a half; it just didn't make sense. And
Mhm.
so I moved in with my best friend. My uncle really wasn't happy about that, but moved in with my best friend in High Park, New York, and that's where I went to church. Started going to church, and that's where I met my wife. She was the hot choir girl, and I didn't ever think I was going to go to college, right? Because I never had real schooling. I always had that self doubt, if you will. People tell me I would never amount to anything. I would, either be in jail or dead by 18.
Mhm.
So I didn't think I was going to go to college, but my wife was going to go to Bob Jones in South Carolina, and so I was like, oh, shoot, I'll try. You know what I mean? Like I'll follow her. And
Mhm.
so somehow I got into the SAS program, which is like School of Applied Studies for auto mechanics. And
Mhm.
uh, my best friend Eric was a mechanic. He was working at Eddie's Auto Repair and doing things, and I was helping him. And we were always working on the cars. You know what I mean? Like on his Honda, souping it up. And so I was like, all right, maybe this is something I can actually do. And so I went to Bob Jones, and I went for a year and did really good in class. I was helping students and stuff like that. But I almost got kicked out for getting demerits. They have demerits there, so I almost got kicked out of there. 150 you get kicked out. I had like 300. They lowered it down to like 140 or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and so we ended up going back home. I think it was like after school was over, and we ended up, dating, getting married, and getting the heck out of Dodge, if you will, right? So moved down to South Carolina where I had a job lined up, and this is kind of where it led into what I'm doing now, exterior cleaning, because I moved down doing the grading, for the houses, for a builder, and I
Mhm.
worked with his two sons that I knew from college, and we had a blast working together. And just the economy, man, like in 2006 going into 7, and then obviously 8 was the big downturn, but
Mhm.
they ended up going out of business. And so I was doing a little bit of prepping the homes before, pressure washing them. And I remember doing our first house, me and my wife did it together, and it was 8 hours for $100. And you know you don't know what you don't know, right?
Mhm.
And so we were like, yeah, we're just going to rinse it off. We didn't use any soap, you know what I mean? So when they went out of business, I was like, man, I really got to start researching. So I got on some forums, and back then we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have YouTube really, but it was forums. And so I went on some of the original forums, and I found out that there was an NCE event, which is the National Cleaning Expo,
Mhm.
um, that I attended in 2008. And that's where I learned about roof cleaning. And then, fast forward a little bit to 2010, I hired AC Lockyer when he was doing the Pro Biz Guide, hired him to come out and train me on systems because I was broke, man, going into the winter, like $125,000. And obviously, this is back in 2010. So
Mhm.
um, I just didn't know. Like, I can go knock on doors, I can, hustle, work hard, and, make a customer happy. But I didn't know how to do it in scale, right? I remember like I got 500 flyers printed one week, and I was like, I'm gonna go hand out 500 flyers, and we're gonna be so busy, like this is gonna be incredible, right? I'm thinking we're gonna get like 150 calls. And it's hilarious because you get one call maybe off of 500 flyers, maybe, right? And so growing that whole thing, and then talking with AC and people that have been doing this for a long time, they do a lot of marketing. And AC had the rock flyers. You put a rock in the bag, put the flyer in the bag, and then you seal it or staple it, and then you throw it on the driveway. And so we got a lot of complaints, and I started handing out like 5,000, then 10,000 a month. And we were getting complaints, but we were getting jobs. And I was like, okay, how can we tweak it a little bit? And we tweaked up the actual message, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we started just getting a lot of business off of that. And then I created the clip flyer because the bag and the rock would get like the flyer dirty, and then moisture would get in the bag. And I was like, there's got to be an easier way. And so that's when we came up with the whole clip flyer. And I know we're going to talk about marketing,
Mm-hmm.
aside of this,
Mm-hmm.
the journey, right? And then we ended up doubling and tripling our business. And then in 2014, Greenville, right, South Carolina, what we call corporate now, headquarters, was doing really good. I was like, okay, I want to kind of branch out and do a satellite branch, and I want to go up to Charlotte. And my brother-in-law was he was like, dude, what does a branch manager make? 8,000. And he's like, awesome. He's like, I really think we can do it up here. I was like, all right, let's do it. And so, we started that branch, but unfortunately it didn't work out. I learned a lot, like systems wise, like manager wise. And so we ended up having to close that location down. It kind of hurt my soul. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, dang. But through failure, and I failed a lot in business, right? I did the 500 flyers, and there's things I messed up, like I ruined my credit. You know what I mean? When I first started, I maxed out two credit cards because somebody promised me, 10 mobile homes a week. And that was back in 2009. And so I ruined my credit, but I had to grow the business now cash, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we ended up getting some commercial jobs that helped us scale that back in 2010, 11, and 12. And then in 2012, we closed the 12-story Marriott in Spartanburg. And that was a big turn for us because I was working out of a Dodge pickup truck and a 1995 Astro van that I
Mm-hmm.
literally slept in to go to that 2008 convention.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we ended up doing the Marriott, and after we got the Marriott, dude, I got the first check, and there was two checks. We got one like midway and one after, and I remember like feeling like I was rich, and I was like, "This is amazing." So I went out and bought my wife a brand new van because like she's driving around this van, the kids are in the van. You know how an Astro van is. You can't
Yeah.
hear anything. The road noise is loud. So we ended up buying an '01 Honda Odyssey. It had the cassette tape movie player in it. Dude, we were living large, like flip down, you know. And and so it was really cool to see that, you know what I mean? Like going through that. And then 2014 we started the licensing program. And the licensing program was Kevin Peters came down and worked for me for like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to start his own location. I was like, dude, like we got the model, let's do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so we ended up doing it up in New York, and then it kind of just spread. And I never promoted it, I never pushed it on anybody because I want to empower entrepreneurs
Mm-hmm.
to go out and make their own, destiny, if you will. They can go out and create their own wealth, right, on their own. And so that's how the program kind of started. Was I didn't want branch managers, and so we did the licensing program, and it's been really awesome to see. We have a huge network, and everybody's on fire. Um, but it's just exciting. So that started growing. And then I started, obviously because Sales Boost was for the other branches. So
Mm-hmm.
they can come and get new sales tips every year. We can check on things, we can see where they're at. We get to, hug them, kiss them, all that fun stuff. Not really, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, love up on them, right? And that's what it's all about is just creating relationships that'll be forever. And so that's where Sales Boost started, and then it started growing, and then I opened it up to the public. I want to say around 2015,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's been growing ever since. That's been a blast to see people come in and learn and like take those things and then like really go out there and double their average ticket and get large jobs and have the confidence to go out and sell. Um, So yeah, so that's pretty much it, man, you know, up to today, and doing public speaking, as you know, and just
Mhm.
having a blast with it.
Yeah, man, that's a lot to unpack. So, like I said, you're up there, the tumultuous kind of childhood between like foster homes, living with different people, right? Then after that, meeting the love of your life through moving, you know what I mean? And meeting her in
Yep.
church, her going down to college out in South Carolina, just like that, you following her, you going in, you going to Bob Jones as well, right? So that is a lot to unpack because you started pressure washing 2006. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Went to the National Cleaning you know,
Expo. Yeah.
Institute Expo in Charleston now in 2008. And then you kind of answered my question that I was going to ask you already, man, where I said, I know in 2013, 2014, you started that location out in Greenville. And then after that, you expanded that out to other areas. And I was going to ask why, but you kind of gave me the why, right? You're just like,
Yeah.
I can duplicate this, right? So I guess throughout all that time, like I said, because you've been doing it's 2023 now, that was 2006. So you've been doing this for quite some time then in that sense. So
Yeah.
throughout those years, what was the biggest struggle or the hardest thing you had to face when growing your exterior cleaning business?
Yeah. Well, in the beginning was having no money. I talked about maxing out those 2 credit cards and
Mhm.
not having the money, like, every week was a struggle, right? I had to get the money to pay the bills, and in the beginning, it was like I took any job really, out there, to pay the bills, and in the wintertime, I work with my brother-in-law doing mold remediation, um, and the biggest struggle really was, like, getting ahead, I think it was, you know what I mean? It was like working month after month after month, and I
Mhm.
didn't know the marketing, and that's why I focused on sales and marketing because I didn't know. I was always the guy that was like, "Oh, you're on a fixed income? Like, oh, we could do $250 payments." You know what I mean? I'm like, "You don't know what you don't know." It doesn't say .org at the end of your website, right? So, like, as I was growing, I was doing all the like, I was doing the do, all the wrong things, right? Like I wasn't charging enough. Um, and we were just enough, and we would raise our prices here and there, you know, hearing things, looking on the forum and stuff. But you know, in the beginning, you all go to the website and you go to the forums and you're like, oh yeah, charge 10 cents a square foot or 14 cents a square foot for exteriors. But you
Mhm.
don't know your market. And that's what I learned years on, right? But I just did what was online or what I felt was good, but I didn't know my numbers. I didn't know if I really was making money on the
Mhm.
job. And I tell you right now, I know I wasn't, you know, but I did know if I hit $200 an hour and I would race the guys, um, dollar per hour, starting to finishing. So right when they got to the job, we would clock them in, and then when they ended, if they were at $200 an hour, like I knew I was pretty good, right? As long as we didn't have any damage or callbacks, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I kind of focused on in the very beginning was like training. I really believe in training, and that came from actually my old boss at Eddie's Auto Repair. He when I was working there, I remember moving up. I like cleaned the parking lot and I was pumping gas and I had my hands because I'm up in New York, it's cold. Got my hands in my pockets and he comes out and he's like, Pat, what are you doing? I'm like, man, I'm waiting for the next guy to, pump his gas, change his oil, and put on the license plate. He's like, no. He's like, put your hands up. I was like, what? And Eddie's hilarious, man. And
Mhm.
so he was always joking around, and I'm like, all right. So I put my hands up. And he grabs a stapler off the desk. He goes, and he staples both of my pockets shut. And I'm like, dude, what the heck? And
Yeah.
he's like, no, man. He's like, don't put your hands in your pocket. He's like, because I know your character and everybody's watching. And if you come in and you're just got your hands in your pocket, that makes you look bad. And I was like, dang, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so that's what I look at. Like when we clean a house, it's like performance. Like we have it down to a science. Like I loved getting in and getting out, right? Like going and I brush the gutters because nobody brushes gutters. Like they want to downstream. But when I put a brush to it, guess what? The neighbor's like, that company brushed the gutters. The other company didn't brush the gutters.
Mhm.
It just is that next level of clean, if you will, right?
Mhm.
And I started learning from my customers a lot. Like, hey, how did I do? Like, how can I get better? And they're like, well, you didn't clean behind the gutters. And I'm like what? Like behind the gutter? Like I didn't even know that was a thing, right? So now we rinse. That's in our standard operating procedures is to rinse behind the gutters,
Mhm.
flush them out. Because if that one customer wants it, guess what? There's another customer that's going to want it too.
Mhm.
So I really focused on that, you know, growing, but it was a lot of pain and like blood, sweat, and tears, not being able to hit my bills and stuff like that, going through. But as I started raising my prices, then we started making a little bit of money. You know, I'm like, holy crap, what is this profit stuff? What is this? You know?
Yeah.
Um, and so I started pouring money back into the business and like buying the sales vehicle. But again, I had the vision, but I didn't have any cash backing. I couldn't use a credit card. I couldn't, you know, borrow money. So what we did was we had to go after commercial. And I tell people this all the time. Residential is like your bread and butter, but
Hmm.
commercial goes in the bank. You know, if you land a $42,000 job, that's going to buy the next vehicle, right? That's going to do the marketing, whatever you're at in your business. So that's really what doing it was the Marriott and the commercial work really started helping us grow because then we had the capital to really invest in the business.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Like I said, well, not awesome you're going through those struggles,
Yeah.
right? But like I said, I know a lot of guys can relate to those struggles in that sense, not knowing their numbers and not being profitable in that sense. Because I think I'm gonna talk to you later on, because I know, a lot of guys will talk about it, the $99 guy, which we'll get to that later on, right? Because I know you
Yeah.
probably have an answer for that as well. But a lot of stuff that my audience, and I know you hear this all the time. What should brand new, like I'm talking about, they're starting like this month, what should they do, in order to get jobs immediately? Because I know that was your biggest struggle, but I know like the newer guys, when they first start, what is like the first thing that they should do to get more jobs?
Yeah. And so I think it did change a little bit this day and age, right? Because now we have Facebook and we have community groups and stuff. So what I would say for new guys that are just getting started is boots on the ground, right? So for me is door hangers, clip flyers, door knocking, relationship building. So if you can go to like BNI groups and stuff. Now I know some BNIs are like $800. So do the lower ones and then work your way up to some bigger ones and then post on the community groups like Facebook. When you get into those communities, you clip flyer and then do check it out flyers. Create your own system. Like it's not just one thing. And I think we get caught up in that. I'm going to do this one flyer or I'm going to do this one thing. There's never one thing. You have to have at least like 4 to 5 things that you can do tomorrow. Like if I know I need jobs next week and today's Friday and I have nothing on the board, guess what I'm doing? I'm Goya. I say this Goya, right? Get off your ass
Yeah.
and go flyer, go knock on some doors and book up next week. It's not that hard. Like sometimes we can get in our head and I think it's like, dude, I need jobs, but they're not calling. Like I don't give a dang if they're not calling. Go out there and get it, but create a flyer, even if it's on your own home printer. People are going to respect the hustle and it's going to get better and better and better. You know, you just got to go do it. So I would say go out there, hit up what you're going to do is a little simple market research. Look at schools, golf courses, and lakes. Go to those 3 areas this weekend and flyer and door knock. And I promise you're going to have jobs next week.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the
You know,
money's at, right? That's
that's
where the
where the
money.
money's at. That's
That's
right.
where the money at. So I just heard you say Goya Marketing, because I know at first when I saw that, because I saw that on your website, I saw that on other things, and I'm like, the hell is Goya, man? Like I know I was Goya, like I should know what this is, but I
Yeah.
do know what it is now, which is get off your ass. But can you elaborate more on Goya Marketing? Because like I said, I love what you say, that, and I tell a lot of guys, because we'll get to that question in a minute, to where they'll come to me and they say they first started off and they're like, yeah, Facebook ads, SEO, all of this stuff that's not boots on the ground, right? Because you don't want to rob yourself of that process of becoming a business owner, knowing how to get jobs. Like you said, like if I need jobs tomorrow, I
Yeah.
can't just rely on somebody else to bring me those jobs. I have to be able to get it, for myself. So can you elaborate on what Goya Marketing is?
Yeah, so Goya Marketing again is so when I started doing marketing, like doing the clip flyers and really getting traction, I kind of broke into like one sales guide or what I call one TSM, territory sales manager,
Mhm.
can book up one truck. So if you want 4 trucks, you need 4 people on a daily basis doing Goya Marketing. So they're out knocking on doors, they're out kissing babies, shaking hands, stopping in at small commercial. They're your generator, right? They're the engine that drives the beast. And so when I talk about Goya marketing, it really is getting off your ass. Don't sit at the computer waiting for, your Facebook to go live. Don't wait for your SEO. Like that stuff, I think is like second or third stage. Like I
Mhm.
always say sales boost. So we talk about like souping up your car. You got the Corvette now. You started the business. Now let's put on the exhaust. Let's put on the intake. Let's put on the nitrous, right?
Mhm.
So all that's going to come and it's good. Don't get me wrong. SEO is great. It's going to take time to build up. But in the beginning, it doesn't mean shit. Like,
Mhm.
honestly, right? You
Yeah.
have to have the boots on the ground. You might not have $1,000 budget to do SEO in the beginning. So, but you do have $800 or $500 to go get some flyers made and go get 6 or 7 jobs at $1,000. Now you reinvest that money into the website, the SEO, the check it out flyers, because there has to be 3 or 4 things that you do that is a system that is going to generate the business over and over and over again. And again, I didn't do this 10 years ago. Like I got business. That's all I did, but I never fostered my customer list. I never emailed them. I never put them on a drip campaign. And I was dumb for doing that. How many customers did I lose 10 years ago? A lot, right? But
Mhm.
it's okay because they really weren't my customer because I was charging $250 a house wash, right? So
Mhm.
that's okay. But as you go and you start going and going over these hoops, if you will, you're going to create your own system of, okay, I just did my initial contact flyer. I got one call. You go back in, you flyer on the way in, the way out. And then when you do the job, you put a yard sign out, you put it out in front of the subdivision, right?
Mhm.
And then you just replicate your efforts while you're there. You already spent the gas to get out there. Get
Mhm.
out the car, you know what I mean? Put the yard sign out, knock on the neighbor's door. I travel, obviously last year I traveled all around the country, and people tell me all the time, and they're like, you can't get those prices in my area. And I'm like, come on. You don't
Yeah.
even know what the roof is in your market. Like when you start handing your territory managers 30% increase week over week over week, then you can come to me and say, you can't get that in my area, right? But
Mhm.
nobody does that because we get so scared to lose a customer. That's like you got to get out of that mindset. Is like I want to lose customers and get better customers, higher paying customers, because then my team and my companies can go into communities and we can help communities tenfold. Where when we were broke, we couldn't. I couldn't do books and pens and pencils to school kids when they go back to school. I couldn't do charity events, right? Like
Mhm.
Meals on Wheels, like all these things, you know what I mean? But now we're able to do, in the community a lot, and that's where I think it helps too, because as you are profitable, you can do more in the community. And then guess what? They want your services in the community.
Exactly, exactly. So my next segue from that, because that was beautiful what you said. Like I said, just getting off your ass, going out there and just generating those jobs yourself. So a lot of the pushback when I tell guys that, because as you know, man, running a marketing agency, when guys will come to you, especially like new guys, they'll be like, "Yeah, man, I want to start Google Ads, right?" And I'm like, "Well, how much do you have? How much money do you have to spend?" $250. I'm like, dude, that's not going to get you anything, right? That'll be like 10 clicks, 10, 15 clicks, man. You know,
Exactly.
so you have to be able to build your business in a certain type of process in a certain type of fashion. So what would you say to those who consider themselves bad at sales and refuse to door knock or say, because I know you've heard that, like they don't want to door knock, or they say it doesn't work for me, I don't have the personality. What would you tell those guys?
Dude, it kills me. It really does. So if they, and some people may take this wrong way, you need to go back to your 9 to 5 job, right? Because business is freaking hard. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not good at sales, you need to practice. You need to role play and get good at sales, because sales is what drives the business. I
Mm-hmm.
was not good at sales in the beginning. So I hired salespeople, right? So you can hire for your weaknesses too. So, but if you're like, I'm not going to go door to door, I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do that, you might as well go down and get a job at that point, because it takes hard work. It takes like blood, sweat, and tears for this thing to really freaking work. And so, if you're really bad at sales, come to Sales Boost. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Get educated. Because, and that's why I started it too, because I opened it to the public, because we aren't good at sales. A lot of times in our industry, we're technicians. We can get the job done, and we're really good at like getting the job, and we know the thing, and we know all the chemical mixology and all this stuff. but we don't know how to sell it to somebody. And we go in there, we're like, it's $300 today. And they're scared, right, to charge $800 for what they're worth. They need to have the confidence in doing it. You know, I would say we're in 2024, like pressure washing's, 60-year-old technology. We're now doing soft washing. You guys are worth it. Like what we're putting in houses and how we're like a pest control company. We're worth what you guys are charging. So you need to really get your confidence up. And if you're not good at sales, you need to go on YouTube and watch some sales things. And you don't have to be pushy sales by no means. Like that's not what I teach at Sales Boost, because I don't like pushy salespeople. I want somebody to come in and I want them to educate me, push me into a deal. And that's why I say we're in soft washing. We do soft sales. I have a process that literally I just hired a gentleman like 2 months ago. I don't even think it was 2 months yet. He came on not even knowing anything about our industry. All he has to do is follow the process, our 19 points to a sale, like where to park the car, how to present the packages. And he sells $28,000 to $4,000 jobs on the regular. So you don't have to be good at sales. You just have to have the right process, right? And then walk them through, and then they're educated. The customers that you want are educated. And I will tell you this too, because this is key. If you're marketing the right way, it makes your sales easier. If you're marketing the hard way, it makes your sales harder. So if you suck at sales and you're not closing deals, look at your marketing. How are you presenting yourself in a professional manner? Are you getting the right customers? Is it message over brand, or is it brand over message? Are you the $99 guy?
Man, see, because I want to ask you, another question, because that does segue into the $99 guy question that I was going to ask you in that sense. But you're right about that, man, where I believe that's why people should go to an event like yours, like Sales Boost, because competence, what does it breed? Confidence, right? So,
Right.
Everybody has seen the Wolf of Wall Street, right? Where he was like bringing guys in that didn't know anything about sales. He had the straight line system. And he says, look, if you follow my system, at this point, you'll get the results that you want. So I believe that a lot of the time people just need that roadmap. If people have that map of here's how you go from point A to point B, if you follow these steps right here, right? So like you said, you don't have to give out those nuggets, all the nuggets that you have where you park the car and all of that. But I know you talk about that in your course, but I believe that if people have that roadmap, they have all of that, then anybody can be good at sales then. Because then man, it worked for me 3 or 4 times. I'm gonna get better and better and better at it, right? In that sense. So I like what you just said about messaging over brand, or brand over messaging, right? And the $99 guy. Can you tell me about the dynamics? Like, are all $99 guys bad, or some of them not? Because from my experience, there's some $99 guys where you said like their messaging is over their brand. We're like, look, we're the cheapest guy. Come work with us. It's about price. Then you have some guys where they're the $99 guy, but then it's like 1-800 got junk, right?
Yeah.
They come out there, but then those guys just upsell you. You know what I mean? And then you leave there with like, oh man, I thought I was going to spend $99, but I ended up spending $1,000, right? So can you
That's a bad taste in your mouth. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, there's always going to be $99 guys, and it's fine. Like, that's the way the world works, right? You're going to have customers that want $99, and they are going to get upsold. And there's this book, right? I didn't win the battle, but I won the war. And it's a really good book, and he talks about that. And so those are always going to be around, right? There's guys that just got in business, or they have that model. They go in at $99, and then they're like, oh, but actually we're going to do this. We're going to do the screens, boom, 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 and then you're at $800. Those customers aren't going to come back to those people, right? Because they don't like that kind of sale. And so we go after the educated people. And I'll be honest, we give a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but we give $2,000 a week away in business, because we get so, like, when we market, everybody in our area gets busy. That's the way it works, right? As tides rise, all boats rise type deal. And so when we advertise, we get everybody busy. But the thing is, we want the bigger fish. And so we'll give, smaller jobs away that we just, can't get to, or whatever it is, to serve the client at a high level. And we have reputable companies in our area that we will pass those leads on to for them to get it done. And then I'll be honest, as they, are getting the small minnows in the lake, right? They get full, and then we come along for the bigger fish. And that's okay, right? We're equipped for large projects. And when they get it, For instance, we had the Bon Secours Wellness Arena in downtown Greenville, and they were calling me like crazy. Like the manager calling me. I had, friends, competitors, if you will, calling me like, "Hey man, I just passed your name on. You're the guy." And then the guy called me. The manager's like, "I guess this job's for you because everybody said you're the company to do it." And they're busy with the smaller jobs. And that's what happens a lot of times. I would rather do less work for more money than do, 10 $99 jobs in one day to get $1,000, right? When I can do $3,000 off of one job in a day. So you got to look at your numbers, right? And then you got to do a job cost analysis to figure out if you really are making money. Because when you get two guys in a truck with workers' comp insurance, they don't have that. They can't for $99. And they're definitely not putting money in their business to grow that thing. So guess what? They're not going to be here next year. So
Yeah.
don't worry about the $99 guy. I made some yard signs. It was we had a bunch of $99 ones. I had $998
Uh-huh.
signs coming up after theirs. So you just gotta have fun with it. You know what I mean? Don't stress about it. Don't look at your competition because you are your own competition. And if you focus on the $99 guy and you're looking at a website and you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you're not focused on your goals.
Yeah, no, of course, of course. So I'm going to segue this into what you were talking about in the sense of the stages. You don't have to go over every single stage, but I know you were talking about stage 2, stage 3, all of that for your business. Once you have the Corvette, right? And then you
Yep.
have the add-ons, right? So when do you think estate cleaning businesses should first invest in digital marketing for their business? Because for me, I always tell them I turn down a lot of people too. There'll be a lot of new guys. They'll get mad. They'll even make comments on my YouTube channel like, "Hey man, you haven't reached back out to me with this, that, and the other." And I say, "Well, look, man, I Googled you. You got one review on your Google My Business. You don't have a website. You don't have like any presence, like anything like that. So you probably want to go through that process." So when do you think an exterior cleaning business should first invest in digital marketing?
Yeah. So, and when you're saying digital marketing, you're saying like Google, SEO, that kind of
Ads,
stuff, the
SEO,
internet stuff.
Facebook ads. Yes,
Yeah.
those kind of measures.
And
Yes.
so it does depend on how fast they want to go. Like, so I've coached a lot of people, right? And it's like, do you guys want to make money or do you want to throw money right back in it? What is your advertising budget? So we say 5% is making, 10% is growing, but I've had some clients at 15 and 18%. They're like throwing it into the budget right out the gate, but you gotta have, like you said, the reviews, right? Go ahead and get on there and get 50 reviews minimum, right? To start your internet because they're going to look at that. If you have a Google ad running, they go to your website and your website sucks and you got 5 reviews, that money isn't really well spent when you could be doing it more boots on the ground. So you have to be very strategic, especially in the very beginning with your money. So it actually gets you an ROI, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it definitely depends on that company. I would definitely do a discovery, I think, with that company to see where their money is, how much money they have. But in general, I would say you need to really be at like, for me, right? And I could just talk really on my experience was I was at $125,000. So I got it up, boots on the ground, 125, and I started capping out. And then that's when I started, doing more marketing, more boots on the ground, because now I had a little budget for it. And then I started doing the Google ads, the Facebook. And Facebook didn't come though, really, for like 6 years after that, to be honest. It was more Google ads. It was shoot, I didn't even do SEO until we were at 800,000. You know what I mean? Like now that I think about it, we were at 800,000 before we did SEO. It was boots on the ground, relationship, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, if you want to go now, and again, you don't know what you don't know. So now that I know about Google, I know about SEO, if I were to do it again at a new location, we would, obviously, if we had the budget, we would start those things right out the gate to get traction with all our boots on the ground and then put that together. And then it's powerful.
Yes, and I think you hit it on the head, man. I think you hit it on the head because I usually tell guys you should start investing in digital marketing right after you hit about 100,000, right? Like yearly revenue, that's when you can start thinking about, okay, Google ads, okay, this. And then, like I said, your final point, that was really good too, knowing what you want, right? Like I said, like if you could start all over again now, having those things in conjunction. And that's why I tell guys, they just want one piece of the equation. Usually, and I'm not gonna lie to you, usually guys that are boots on the ground type of guys, those will be the guys that'll reach out to me like just, hey, Jonathan, like, yeah, I just need SEO, Google ads. I know it takes time. I know it's this, that, and the other, but we have other means. And then you have the opposite end where it's like the guys that are just, they have no boots on the ground stuff. They're just like, yeah, man, I want the digital marketing. And those guys that I see that are boots on the ground, they do way more successful in the digital marketing than the guys that just try to rely on digital marketing in that sense. And that's what really compelled me to you in that sense, because yes, I may do digital marketing, but at the end of the day, I say our stuff amplifies what you do, right? We add more sauce to the fire. We're not your fire starter per se.
Exactly, because you can't determine the market. Like you can't determine people going on Google and searching somebody. If the market's hot, the market's hot. So when I coach people and they come to me, Pat, I need your help. I'm like, well, what are you doing for marketing? They said Google, SEO, all internet. And I'm like, great. So you're going like this, like that, like this, like that. You're on the roller coaster
Yeah.
because you're up with the market. And I said, so what do you do in your slow season? I go on vacation or I just, mothball. I'm like, what? Like go boots on the ground and still grow through those slow seasons. But you have to have that, in conjunction with the SEO, or else you're like this and you're getting friggin' beat up. Your stomach's in your, you know what I mean? It's a crazy roller coaster.
Oh man, trust me, I know it. I know it far too well. I know it far too well. So that's a good segue into why do you think most pressure washing businesses can't scale to like that $1 million revenue? Because like I said, you have 9 locations in 8 different states, 5 million. So if we do the math, I know you got at least 1 or 2 locations that's doing a mil or more, and in multiple that are doing 750 plus, right? In that sense. So why do you think most pressure washing businesses can't scale to that $1 million in revenue?
Yeah, so it's hiring, right? It's the human aspect. It's doing a T chart and figuring out what they're good at and what they're bad at, and then hiring for what they're bad at. And so we try to do it all ourselves. And especially with the sales department, I got to do the sales. And I've, again, coached people. I've had people come into sales booths that they're running 18 leads in a day and they're killing themselves. And I'm like, how do you even like do that? You know what I mean? And I'm like, at the last quotes, you must be throwing the paper at the customers. You know what I mean? Like, because you're done at that point. So, like, you have to hire. There's a saying that's like, delegate to elevate. And so you need to hire the right people. So as you grow your company, you have to have an org chart. And I think people with the pressure washing is like, they kind of think of it maybe as a side hustle, which is fine. And it all depends on what their why is, right? Where do you want to take this? But I think a lot of people do want to do $1 million, right? That's that number that's in everybody's head.
Yeah,
And
that's why I
it
said it.
was for me, right? And then when we did over 1 million and over 1.4 million, it changes, and your why will actually change because it becomes more of it's impact over income for me. But in the beginning, it wasn't, right? It was like, I need to make $1 million. How do I do it? And so I had to hire people, and I had to get really good at hiring, um, and not being afraid, because when there's 3 people you can put in place right now that are key hires for you, especially if you're over $100,000. And it's your lead tech, assistant tech. You get an office manager, and the office manager, and I promise you, if you put an office manager, you'll grow 20 to 30% because it happened for me. And it freed me up to do solely sales, like full time, not 20%, because a lot of business owners in our industry, I think, are doing 20% of operations, 20% of sales, 20% of admin, and they're like, I have no time, right? So you
Mhm.
have to hire. And there's this quote from um, L. Ron Hubbard. I'm not into Scientology, but I was reading his article,
Mhm.
and it said, if you put the people in place, the money will come. And I was like, and it's scary, right? Because I was like, how the freak am I going to spend $600? This is back when I got my first office manager. I'm like, how the heck am I going to hire an? But I need somebody to answer the calls. I need somebody to make flyers while I'm out selling. I need somebody to, check on the guys and help out. And so we did it. We pulled the trigger, and it was scary. But dude, we grew 30% by putting an office manager in place. I solely did sales. And when you're first doing sales and you're, working out of your small shop, maybe your garage, whatever, you can't hire a sales guy. They're like, you want me to sell pressure washing? And you
Yeah,
know what I mean? What's
yeah,
your average ticket? $400. They're
yeah.
like, okay, so I got to sell freaking 1,000, jobs. So obviously you got to paint the picture. You got to work on you and your business first. You have to get your average ticket Like ours is up over $1,400 right now.
Mhm.
So you got to get the average ticket up. You have to sell the vision to that person. And so it was really hard for me because I was, again, working at a small shop. So I took my lead tech that knew the industry. I pulled him into sales. So now it was two people selling, me and him. And he wasn't like the greatest salesperson. He was a technician. So he's like, oh, that'll take 20 minutes. We'll do that for 50 bucks. Right.
Mhm.
He wasn't trained properly, but I learned and I've hired hundreds of people now. And so it feels like thousands, but it's probably hundreds. But I've hired a lot of people now and the system works, the price sheet works, right? As long as they follow the system. So you got to work on you, figure out why you win. And, I had to wear glasses. I wore a tie with a button up shirt in the very beginning because I was 22 years old. I was like, nobody's going to believe me. I'm a sales guy. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so you got to focus on why are you closing the jobs, asking the question, and then reverse engineer your process because everybody has a process. And then let's expound on your process and make it even better and teachable so then you can replicate yourself. And
Mhm.
that's what it is.
And that, yeah, no, and you're definitely right about that, which leads me into the importance of coaching and education to grow your exterior cleaning business. Because I know you have the sales boost. Like I said, I'm going to keep showing it March 30th through April 1st, Duncan, South Carolina, guys. And we'll be talking about that in a minute as well, guys. Just, why pressure washing business should attend, the different options, some of the things we'll be covering, the guest speakers, all of that. But what I want to talk about is like the importance of coaching and education because you also have Sales Boost, and then there's also the group called Conquer that you're also a coach in as well. So can you tell me about the importance of that education? Because I know that you said that in your earlier years you had hired AC, you know what I mean, to do your stuff. And
Yeah.
I remember off the podcast he had said that, and it was something that everybody goes through, right? That imposter syndrome kind of thing where you're like, I got my neighbors from my apartment and all that to like take a picture of us, and we were all right here. And he's probably
Yeah.
thinking that he's going to talk to a guy that has like 8 employees, but it was really just me, me and my wife doing it, right? So I chuckled at that because I was like, we've all been there. We've all been there at some point. But can you tell us the importance of coaching and education to grow your exterior cleaning business?
Man, I will never, like, if I'm getting into something, I'm getting a coach because they know what you don't know, right? They've already been there. So you obviously got to vet your coaches. I've seen a lot of guys in the pressure washing industry that, they've been doing it on YouTube for 3 months and now they're coaching. So you
Mhm.
got to definitely make sure that you're finding a coach that has been where you want to go and they jive with you. And so that's where the Conquer program comes in. It's amazing. Like, how they match you with a coach. You actually interview with the coach, but it's tenfold, man. Like when you go in there, you get the systems, you get the knowledge, they bring it out of you, right? They're teaching you how to fish, they're not giving you the fish. And so a good coach, right, is going to better you, push you out of your comfort zone, but bring out your good qualities. They're not going to like stifle you. They're not going to say, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing better. No, it's where you're at. I'm going to meet you where you're at, and then let's get you to where you want to go. We really define like your why, your core, like mission, value, purpose for you. And coaching brings things out of you, I believe, that you don't even know you have inside of you. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
business wise, personal wise, whatever it may be, like it's all around life changing. It was for me, right?
Mhm.
Like, again, I came from foster care, barely going to school. I don't know how I made it into college, right? Like to growing multi-location business. And, you know, God's really met, I think he just aligned people with me that you
Mhm.
want to surround yourself with people like yourself, right?
Mhm.
That have been there, that know the SEO, that know the Google ads, that
Mhm.
why do I got to learn every little thing, which you need to know about? Don't get me wrong. Like you can't just hire a bookkeeper and say, hey, take care of my books and be good. No, you're hiring that person like an employee or a team member. You have to hold them accountable to the things. So with a coach, they've already done it. Like they've hired the people. They've made all the mistakes and you can learn from their mistakes without having to make those mistakes.
Mhm.
And it's a game changer, man. Like if I'm going into something like we're doing like the digital stuff with the online courses and stuff, I
Mhm.
have an accountability group because as entrepreneurs, we don't have a boss, and we can sleep in the day, and we don't have anybody pushing us And if we miss a meeting, it's all right. We'll make it up tomorrow. Like, these are the stories we tell ourselves in our head. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? To where, no, you need to get up in the morning. We need to get you excited to be up in the morning. And how do we do that? How do we get you in love with your business again? Because we get beat up, we get burnt out at the end of the year, right? So the coach will help you fall back in love with your business to make it streamlined, to create the lifestyle for you, right? Not your business runs you, you run the business. You can become the CEO and take advantage of the business on vacation. And like, again, and I don't say this to brag, but we bought a freaking school bus, that was converted, and we did some things to it, and we traveled the country for a whole month, 30 plus days, with my kids and my family. And it was amazing. Like, we broke down, but it was fine because we had money in the bank. I had to pay $1,500 for the glow plugs because I had no idea that they didn't work until we made it to Wyoming, right? But it was really cool to do that. I mean, the fuel alone was over $3,000,
Hmm.
and so it was just a blast to be able to do that. And business is your vehicle to get you to where you really want to go. It's not the end all be all. It's the door that opened to you learning about yourself and doing something else.
Man, most definitely, most definitely. So you're right about that. I definitely agree with all of that. And so I want to talk more personally about your businesses now, though, man, because as you know, the coaching, you have all of this. And so what would you consider your most profitable marketing channel or your most successful marketing technique? You don't have to tell us all of them, man. Go to Sales Boost to get that.
Yep,
But
that's right.
what are the most profitable marketing channels that you do, or some of your most successful marketing techniques?
Yeah, so I invest in my sales guys, right? So I say my sales guys are my best channel because
Hmm.
it's not necessarily a marketing avenue. Like, Google's great, don't get me wrong. We do our leads analysis every week and we find out where our marketing channels are coming from. So that's a little nugget. You better be vetting your marketing on a weekly and a monthly basis. So like Google, right? We got clip flyers, we got SEO, we got Facebook ads, we got all these things, but you need to be vetting them on a weekly basis. So for me, I would rather hire a salesperson than I would Google, because he's going to go out and sell, right, $10,000 a week,
Hmm.
easy, whereas Google helps him to do it, right? Whereas all these things are kind of like IVs pumping him. So it's the sales team. You know what I mean? I got really hyper focused on the sales team, and without a sales team, if I just had Google and it was me doing I'm selling $10,000 a week. Like, I become the bottleneck in my business. So it's replicating you. And our number one, and I will tell you, is still to this day, is clip flyers. People are like, how the heck? And I'm telling you, man, number one is clip flyers. So we do a lot, but it gets my salespeople out um, in the area. So they're seeing the wrap vehicle, they're seeing the yard signs. It's not just the clip flyer. Even if the clip flyer didn't work, we would still do it because it gets my team out in front of the homeowner, knocking on doors. And we have scripts and stuff to replicate these efforts. But again, these are all bolt-on things. And this is what we talk about in Sales Boost, is like, you got the engine, now it's time to soup it up, right? Let's refine that. Let's go and do the diagnostics and make sure that we're getting the highest horsepower out of your company, out of your each rep, right? And so we treat you like family when you come there. But not only that, we have like 50 weeks of sales meeting winning topics. So you get a basically cards, like playing cards, and
Hmm.
it's Sales Boost, and it's all for the whole year. So it's not just one event either. You know what I mean? Like, we're giving you the building blocks for the whole year to execute, because I believe in our industry, man. Like, it's come so far in 10 years. Um, and it's just amazing to watch. There's so many cool people, and we all help each other out. But I want to elevate that, right? I want to become the next HVAC industry with exterior cleaning. I really believe we can do that, but we have to keep the professionalism. We have the $99 guy. We got to, you know what I mean? We got to move him up. We got to get him to Sales Boost to get him up, right?
Yeah.
But that's what it's all about. I share my pricing, you know what I mean? Like, it's an open book. But you have to do it. Like, it's not just the one thing. And I know a lot of people are like, I want that magic pill. What's Pat's magic pill? Is not. There's not a it's Goya, right? It's hiring the people, it's getting the marketing out, and everything works together. But you have to have minimum 4 to 5 things that you got to be putting out.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And like you said, just seeing, and even in a matter of, I'd say even 4 to 5 years. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
just exponential kind of growth. Because now people like homeowners, yeah, I didn't know. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know what exterior cleaning was like 6, 7 years ago. I didn't even know what that was. Like what pressure washing was. I didn't even know any of it. But now you just go to people everywhere and they know what it is now, right? And like it's something that people see as like a pest control service, right?
yep,
They see it as like something that is just something that they need to get annually. And you're right. If it can get to like how the HVAC market is, which I think it can because it's somebody's home. It's one of the most valued treasured items, or they're building their business,
yep.
whatever it may be. So, are there any marketing efforts that you've stopped using in the past few years, or just things that you're like, ah, man, I just this just is not what it needs to. You know what I mean? Is
Yeah.
there any kind of marketing you don't do anymore?
There is, like, we've tried a lot of things, and I'm always a fan of, I will try anything, but if the ROI is not there, I'm not going to do it, right? So money mailer in our area, right? That was coupon clippers. They wanted $99. Valpak, we stopped doing that. Um, what was the other one? Of course, Home Advisor
Yeah,
ripoff, right?
yeah,
We tried the internet kind of lead stuff, lead generation stuff, but we spent a lot of money, man, on billboards, $8,000 a month. We did a couple billboards. Now these were the big ones, not the digital ones. The digital ones are pretty good, and that didn't work, so we stopped doing the billboards. I spent 80,000 on radio. We did radio and some other stuff, and we just didn't see the ROI there, um, for our size. And again, like we were talking about, right? Like, I think I probably was like the guy like, hey, I got $500 for Google Ads. That was probably me for radio. You know, see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I went to the radio. I'm like, yeah, I got 80 grand. They're like, well, you really need 120 to make it work. And I'm just like, well, I don't got that budget, right?
yeah,
So you have to see what you can do too, and you have to make it work for yourself. I think too. You have to tweak it. You can't go to Home Advisor and say, great, let's pay $1,000 for home or whatever it is, and
mhm,
have all these leads come in, and then you don't answer the phone, or you answer it and you don't have a system for it, right? I know guys that have Home Advisor out in the Midwest and they crush it, right? They have a
yeah,
system for it and they're doing well with it. And I'm like, why can't I do that, right? You can, you just have to build the system around it, and don't do it for 2 weeks and say it's crap, you know. But there's things that we did try, and we put in the marketing. We call it, you have to have marketing stamina. So you got to put your money where your mouth is, right?
mhm,
And we did it, but those were some of the ones I didn't do because they were more coupon shoppers. They wanted like
mhm,
the discount and everything, and we don't do that, right? Like, our quality is way up here. So you get what we pay for type deal.
mhm.
So yeah, those were the really dialed in on who our customer avatar is, like who we're really marketing to, and then we pour into that. We did direct marketing, and we weren't like a huge fan in the Greenville market. Some of our other markets did good, but the Greenville market, we're doing more EDDM. Every door direct marketing seems to be working for some reason better, and then our territory managers drop it off in their territories. So they have a post office in their territory. They drop them off, and then it works out good.
All right then. Well, that's awesome. Before we segue into Sales Boost Live, because I want you to talk about that at length too as well. The one last thing that I want to ask you about, just personally about your business and all of that, because I know that's kind of like, I know when people talk about multi-location, having multi-location pressure washing businesses, your name pops up almost 99% of the time, right?
Yeah.
So why do you think you've been successful in opening up, 9 locations and, without you physically being present there each day and team building, all of that? Why do you think that? And I may know a little bit, in the sense of you're going to say probably systems, all of that, but
That's right.
why do you think you've been successful in opening up 9 locations with all of that?
So it's confidence, it's having the vision. So like when I go in and we start a new location, like I create a sense of like you can do whatever you put your mind to, right? And I think this comes from my mom, because that's what my mom told me all over. Like, you can do whatever you put your mind to. And
Mhm.
so if you have the system, the base model system, like if you know where you're going, give you on a path, like you get excited. And that's what I like to do is I come into these companies. And again, with the licensing program, it's, 5 years old, 10-year-old companies. And I just come in and flip the tables over, if you will. Right. And they have a plan, they have a mission, and they stick to it. Right. We get them excited about it, but it is systems, right? It's the CRM, it's the way the invoice goes throughout the office. It's the checks and balances, how we check on the guys, train the guys, how we interview. So we have cool things like that where we record our interviews so they can know how I interview. So
Mhm.
it's like getting my stuff out of my brain and giving it to, them at those locations. And so they come down, they learn from us, and then they can take it back and run with it, right? And then we
Mhm.
have calls. Don't get me wrong, we have weekly calls, and we'll jump on and say, "Hey, where you at?" And so kind of keep them in track that way. But everything we use goes to them as far as marketing. So they basically partner with our brand, so they're a member, and they get all our new flyers, our new newsletters, like anything branding wise, they get um, there, and then they put it in place, right? And the cool thing is we have, um, you know, uh, what do you call that? Buyers. Um, it's basically like we can go in and we get deals on different things because we have more locations. So it helps them out too. So when we go into a market, it works out.
I'm like this, but I know what you mean though. Kind of like yeah, man, I can't
Buying
even think of the
power.
word right now.
It's like buying power, if you will, right? So it's like, hey, if we do, Google Ads, we're going to do it for all the locations, so we get a little bit of a deal that way, right? So some locations that just start off, they can do more than they could on their own, right? And
Mhm.
so we want them to come in and then have the benefits and the resources to be able to scale a little bit faster with what we got going on. They can bring their technicians up and ride with our guys at headquarters, and so there's fun, cool stuff there. And I think that's really what helped was like just bringing out the confidence in that person, right? At that location is like, you can do this. Like, there's nothing special about me. And they see all our internal systems and they're like, heck yeah, I could do this. Right. And
Mhm.
then they just take the ball and run with it. So it's been really exciting to see, but it's hard. Like, I don't know if you saw the interview with Isaiah out in Seattle, Washington. He,
Yeah.
literally got the truck, but the truck was running on 6 cylinders. It's an 8-cylinder truck. He towed it. He had a tow truck tow it up these hills in Seattle to get the jobs done. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, I
You
did see
know?
that interview. I did see that young guy too, man. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like young
yeah.
guy killing it, man.
And
Young
he's
guy.
on his way, man. Yeah, I'm super. He's going to be at $1 million location in a couple of years, easy. You know.
Yeah. So
So yeah,
definitely. So we talk about systems, we talk about coaching, we talk about training. Let's talk about sales boost. You know what I mean? And let's talk about sales boost, right? So what I want to cover when it comes to sales boost is I think you talked a little bit about why you started it in the sense that it was something that you started for those multiple locations, kind of that you were opening up, and it was like, look, I know for these guys, in order for me to kind of replicate it to where we have the systems, we have the processes, right? I had to develop this in order
yeah.
for them to be able to do that, right? So why do you think pressure wash? So I'll ask a series of questions, but why do you think pressure washing businesses should attend? And what is, I know we talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the video, but what is Sales Boost, right? Not only just Sales Boost Live, but in general, what is Sales Boost?
Yeah, so in general, Sales Boost is really for any home service company. If you're going in the home and doing sales, that's for you. And it's not pushy sales. It's not you have to have these scripts to close the deal. It's the system, right? It's the way I sell. It's the way I built relationships. And so it's the 17 years of heartache, right, that I went through that I pour into Sales Boost with the systems, the checklist, things to keep you online that got it out of my head that I can train my sales team. And we train every location trains their sales guys and their teams through Sales Boost. And
Mhm.
so it basically is a lot of stuff for you to be confident in, like from pricing, from the very beginning, from pricing to the admin, like how we qualify leads. So it does start at the admin, how we qualify leads, how our tone scale, right? Our level 7 excitement. There's a lot that goes in there with body mirroring and stuff like that to get them comfortable.
Mhm.
And so we bring in speakers too, like Matt Clark. He's going to talk about the disc. Like you got to know, like when we're talking, whether you're an I or a D or an S, And so if you're a D, you're just like, I want the price, and then when can you do it, right?
What kind of person? Yeah.
Yep. But if you're an S, it's like when you go through the mall and the guy's in the middle and they're selling, they're like, and you're an S and you're like, yeah, no, I definitely want that. I'll be right back. We'll come back and get it and we'll be back. You'll never see that person again, right?
Yeah.
Because they want to tell you what you want them to hear and then they're gone, right?
Yeah.
So we teach you on that kind of stuff. When you go into a presentation, they're all excited, like, and you're like, you think you're going to close the deal. And then they're like, well, I got to talk to my husband. You're like, now what do you do? Okay, great, no problem. Well, here's the quote. Just let me know. Have a great day.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean? Like we teach you the different things to basically land the business, close the deal, but be confident in it and do it in a genuine way that, look, if you don't use us, they might use the $99 guy that's going to leave Zorro stripes in the siding. You're like, you're doing the customer a disservice if they don't close with you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Why do they want to get 18 bids? You know what I mean? They don't. They want you. And so we talk about the 3 packages, A, B, and C packages, because American loves choice. And we show you how to close at at package C at the higher dollar. So like the science and technology of the sale, package pricing. Kurt actually with the responsive bid is going to be out
Mhm.
this year. And we're going to be talking about responsive bid, like doing a little bit of digital, which he's got an amazing system with that to help you, to help your reps. You can put your pricing in there, so you don't have to worry about that. But we talk about the journey, the customer journey in there, like how they go through the different steps, how you have to approve the tickets when you
Mhm.
get a sales team, so you don't run into nightmares down the road, like the do's and don'ts, like things I've run into that I don't want to see anybody else go through, right?
Mhm.
So we're going to be going through a lot in Sales Boost, but again, it's for any industry. We have, horticulture guys coming out. We have a tree company coming out, landscaping, you name it. We have a lot of people coming out, some roofers coming out, door-to-door sales, some solar people are going to be out there. But mostly exterior cleaning, because that's kind of where my home is, if you will. That's my people.
Yep.
Um, so it's a blast. We have fun too. What we do too is no other event does what I do. And
Mhm.
what I mean by that is we literally get on a bus and we're going to have 56 passenger buses and we're going to go out on site and literally do a quote. We're going to measure the house. We're going to show you how we measure, write the notes, do the pre-inspection sheet, all the steps, the 19 points to a sale. And we have workbooks. I don't have one here with me, but we have a workbook that goes over with you so you do it too. You know what I mean? In the past ones, I had a lot of people standing around. They're like, that's cool. And you know what I mean? And that stuff. We're all going to do it together. We're going to break up into groups and we're going to teach you from start to finish how we do a quote. And again, you might come in and you say, I do it linear foot wise, whatever it may be. But this is just a great way to know how we do it so you can perfect your system. Or you may adopt ours. I don't know. But it's totally up to you. It's just a great experience to talk with like-minded business owners. What's working, what's not working, especially with the economy coming up. Like you better be good at sales. Like you gotta have the boots on the ground because the internet stuff's great, but if it's not bolted onto something, you're gonna be on that roller coaster and you may not be here. That roller coaster might be broken at the end, and you're like, woo, you know what I mean?
Yes, I'm glad you said that because a lot of people don't know that I tell them all the time. I say, look, we're going to put you in position, right, on the internet, whether it's Google ads, SEO, Facebook ads, whatever it may be. We're going to give you the most optimized. We're going to put you in the most optimized position, the most cost-effective bang for your buck kind of position because we know what we're doing. But
Yep.
we're still going to have to be relying on what? The demand, right? If nobody's going into Google searching it, then it doesn't matter how optimized it is, right? So
That's right.
that's why I said I like to have guys like you know what I mean, talk about this kind of stuff because when people know how to do this, it fundamentally makes everything better, right? The industry can charge more, guys run better businesses, guys have a better mindset, they have all of that. So I know you
Yeah.
cover some of the guest speakers. What I want to key in on too, because like you have Sales Boost Live, like I said, Duncan, South Carolina guys, March 30th, April 1st. But can you expound upon more about like the where you fly to people, right? To where you go to people and you do that and the online version and the live version. Can you speak about those
Yeah.
different options as well?
Yeah, so the online is great, but it's a video, right? You're sitting in front of a video and you can't expect to train somebody on a video. You have to take the video and then you have to go practice what you preach.
Hmm.
So what I like to do is Sales Boost is practicing what you preach, and then you can have the online course to back up what you're already driving home. Like sports team practice all year long for the championship. Like
Hmm.
if you're not role playing with your team, if you're not doing weekly sales meetings and you're not teaching them to, do the stuff and know the scripts, even with your operations, you need to do that. So the online's great to back it up. I train all my team on Sales Boost as well, but we practice what we preach. The online is the in-person is amazing. Sales Boost on site. Like I said, did a ton of those last year. I just got back from Philly. I was in Philly a week ago doing one, and we go in and we basically see what you're doing. I do a discovery. And it's cool because I can use my team too. So my admin team will call their admin team and they'll go over scripts and know how, our systems work. But when I do the on-site, it's really cool because I can create the vision for them. We've drawn out a 12-month marketing slash business plan where we, do the boots on the ground and say, okay, in 6 months, you're plugging in now, you know what I mean? Google Ads, SEO, like, let's get the website right here. You need your reviews here. And we build all that out for them when they're putting on their next, service truck. Because we're going to get them so busy. They're like, holy crap, how am I going to find technicians? Right. And
Yeah.
so we help with that. We have Blue Skies Recruiting. Like, there's things that we can help. And I literally interviewed like 4 or 5 people while I was in Philly, and you create this momentum. It's like, well, I can't hire anybody. And goes week after week. I'm like, no, I can go in and I can create momentum. We literally went to Staples to buy supplies. He literally did an interview 2 days ago with the Staples guy because I introduced him, right? So he's probably going to hire that guy. And then we were like somewhere else. Oh, they were getting a stove installed. Well, we talked to the 2 technicians. Guess who's coming in for interviews? The 2 technicians. You are always recruiting with your business, bringing in talent all over the place. But if you're just going about your business and you're like, well, I don't like to talk to anybody. I'm not good with sales. You're not gonna succeed. You know what I mean? Like, you better come out of your comfort zone or have somebody push you out of your comfort zone. And
Mhm.
you'll notice some guys too, I'm coaching with, like, getting their brand out, their personal brand, like doing videos. If you have a company, you have a personal brand. It might be your company brand, but that's your brand. You need to do Facebook Lives, talk about your team. I do that a lot because I'm here because of my team, period. You know what I mean? Like, the salespeople are the front runners. They got to look good. They got to talk the talk. They need to know our tools, terms, and technology that we give to you in Sales Boost. We literally give you in Sales Boost a whole binder of documents, all the checklists, the systems, like the
Mhm.
scripts. Like, there's so much. And they just went to the printer today, so we're going to see them in a week, which is going to be amazing. But the on-site is awesome because it's actually done for you. I do it for you. So if you're like, man, I just need somebody to do it for me, like, I'm not gonna babysit you. Like, we're gonna put the system in place, but I'm gonna hold you to the system, of that,
Mhm.
because it like transforms businesses. I've seen some guys go from $180,000 to 1.2 in 1 year. You know, it's
And that's what I
pretty.
was gonna ask you about. What are some of the results that some of the guys, you don't have to say their names or anything, because I know
Yeah.
on the actual on your website, which we're gonna talk about, like where to sign up, cost
Yep.
everything. But like I said, what are some of the results guys have been seeing after, before and after sales boost in that sense?
So it definitely varies, right? Because I've had people in the room that don't execute, right? They
Of course,
have the
of
book
course.
and whatever, and they don't do it. And I'm like, why aren't you doing it? Like, you
Yeah.
have it. But then there's other guys that, walk away and land $80,000 projects. You know what I mean? Like, do commercial. Have one up in Charlotte, North Carolina, crushing it in the commercial sector, right? After the commercial day. So we do 2 days of residential, and then on the third day is all commercial. And so it's really cool. We show you the pricing, measuring, doing it from online, in person, all that stuff. But we've had a lot of success out of sales. And that's what drives me to do it, because I'm helping people empower themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know it. We all know what we need to do inside. The problem is the information's there. They just don't execute on it. And that's why Sales Boost Live is really good. And the in person, because I really help you do it. I help you get it, to envision it. And I feel like we're very visionary, right? Like if we can see it, we can achieve it type deal. And so if you can put it in front of me, like I'm going to do it because I want to, I want a life for my family. And a lot of people, a lot of business owners work really, really hard, but they're doing it the wrong way, and they're doing it over and over again. And I'm like, ah. So, and I've already been there. So I'm trying to like, inject the stuff that I've learned, and I know coaches do that in general. It's like, yeah, this is all the stuff we know. We can just this little thing. And if you can tweak one little thing, it'll change a lot, in your business, whether it's tracking or getting a CPA, whatever it may be, right? So you got to look at the investment. And I was talking to another coach the other day, and he broke it down to me a little bit different. Well, what's the investment, right? So like Sales Boost on site is $10,000, but he's like, you should be charging 20. And I'm like, yeah, but like 10,000 a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of money. But you got to look at the investment and then the outcome. What is a $10,000 job? Like if I come out and change the system, you're gonna do $1 million. What's $10,000 if you're gonna do a million? Nothing.
Yeah, and you can get that back with one job. And the reason why I like you're on site. Sorry to interrupt you. The
No.
reason why you're on site as well is because you can show people firsthand for those detractors that say, "Well, in my area you can't charge this, or in my area you can't do this." If
Yeah.
they see on site that you're executing this, that is way more worth than like $10,000, because then all right, then I've seen it before, I can
Yeah.
believe it, I can execute this now, and now that person's repeatedly getting that. So
Yeah.
I totally understand that. So where can people sign up? So I know you have where can I sign up for all of this?
Yeah, so you can either go to salesboostlive.com. We have the sign up sheet right there. So salesboostlive.com.
Mhm.
Or you can go to my Facebook page, you can go to my Instagram. We have it pretty much everywhere right now, and it sells out really fast. Like we're really close to being sold out. So get on there, because every year I have people like, I didn't know about it. And I'm like, how did you not know about it? It's
Yeah.
once a year. So it's like right now to crush this year, get in it. We actually increased the capacity. So we used to do it at my shop. We maxed it out last year with like 80 people. It was crazy, but we had a blast. So we're doing it at the Marriott this year.
Yeah.
And then we can have up to 200 people this year. So we're really banking on 150, but we have capacity for 200. So we're getting really, really close to full. So go ahead and sign up at salesboostlive.com, or check out Facebook page at Pat Clark or Patrick Clark on Facebook, and you'll see it there as well.
All right, then. And I will link that, guys, in the description of the podcast and the YouTube. So you guys will get that in the description of both. We'll have the Sales Boost Live. I'll also connect your Facebook on there as well. So look, man, if you get a lot of messages for certain things, you got people just know, man. Right. But yeah, so in that sense, that Sales Boost, I think that's awesome, right? And man, I really only got like one or two more questions for you, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Like I said, I really appreciate you for being on here. But I always ask people, what is a personal, it doesn't, but what is a personal life hack that has made you a better entrepreneur? Right? Just yeah. I always like to ask that.
So I'm about to blow your mind. So it's a VA, a virtual assistant.
Okay.
So I have a virtual assistant and an executive assistant, and they make me look good because I'm not good at anything. If you think you're good at everything in your business, you're lying to yourself. So a VA, man, a virtual assistant. I give all my props to May. She's amazing. She did all the design for Sales Boost. She does the behind the scenes stuff. I envision it, and she's my executor, if you will, right? Because you can read that book, was it Rocket Fuel, where I'm the visionary, she's the integrator. So I have two people, my Diane, she's actually out of New York, and then May out of the Philippines. So get yourself a VA, and shout out to Melody with Home Service VA. She's the one who actually matched me with my VA, and she actually gives you the training platform to train a VA how you're wired, because we're crazy entrepreneurs. We're like, oh, idea, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Trust me, I know, man. I know, man. So I kind of already answered that already in a sense, because my next question is just, where generally can people find you at? I know you said Sales Boost Live. PatClark.com. I know you have that as well. Your Facebook.
Yep.
Where else are there other places that people can find you too?
Yeah, so I'm working on the YouTube channel, so we're getting that up right now. So obviously Pat Clark on YouTube, and then I mainly stay on Facebook. That's kind of my thing. I know I'm old school. They always say the old timers now are on Facebook, so I got to switch over maybe to Instagram one day. But yeah, I just signed up for Instagram as well. But Facebook's where I really kind of, you'll see a little bit about business and a lot about family on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I like to do. We work really, really hard, but we play harder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so check me out any platform really, but patclark.com, salesboostlive.com, and the Facebook page.
Well, yeah. Well, like I said, Pat, I think you kind of gave us a lot of information in that sense. Like I said, I really, really appreciate you for taking the time out of your super busy schedule, man. Because I know we've been planning this like the past, like 2 months, whatever it may be. And so I'm finally glad I got to sit you down, talk about all of this stuff because I know you're going to be a busy guy these next couple of weeks. You know what I mean? With Sales Boost, the
Yep.
busy season. You're right. You're probably going to visit some of your guys, all of that, man. So, like I said, I genuinely appreciate you for taking the time. As you guys already know, you guys know where you can find him. And yeah, you got any other parting words for us, Pat?
No, I just appreciate everybody. Jonathan, thank you for having me. And don't forget to Goya this year.
Yeah, get off your ass.
That's it.
All right, then. Well, thank you guys for watching and listening, and I will see you guys in the next video.
See you.